For 9 seasons, 30 million Americans watch Roseanne Connor and Dan Connor fight about bills, argue about the kids, and love each other in the messy, unglamorous way that real working-class families actually do. It was the most honest marriage on television. Then, in 2018, the show came roaring back with record-breaking ratings, the biggest comedy premiere in years. And 12 weeks later, one tweet burned the entire thing to the ground in less than 12 hours. But what happened to the man who played Dan Connor after the cameras went dark? What a month of depression. 7 years of silence, and one improvised goodbye on an empty couch actually revealed about what Roseanne really cost him. The show that changed television. Before we get to how it ended, you have to understand what was lost, because a show that got canceled in 2018 was not just another sitcom. It was a cultural landmark. Roseanne premiered on ABC on October 18th, 1988, built around stand-up comedian Roseanne Barr and a cast of unknown actors playing a family in the fictional town of Lanford, Illinois. The premise was deceptively simple. A working-class family with not enough money, too many problems, and a kitchen table where everything got hashed out. But what made it revolutionary was the honesty. This was not a family where the parents had clever solutions to every problem by the end of the episode. This was a family that bounced checks, yelled at each other, and went to bed angry. At the center of it was a marriage between Roseanne and Dan Connor. And the man cast as Dan was a largely unknown stage actor from Missouri named John Goodman, who had been grinding through small parts and bit roles for years without a major break. The chemistry between Goodman and Barr was immediate and undeniable. He has said they hit it off from Jump Street, that she made him laugh and he made her laugh, and that the magic of it was something neither of them had to manufacture. The show became enormous. By its second season, it was the #1 program on American television, pulling audiences of 20 and 30 million viewers a week. At its peak, it was the most watched show in the country, ahead of everything else on every network. It ran for 9 seasons through 1997, earned Goodman 7 consecutive Emmy nominations for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series and a Golden Globe win in 1993, and changed what American audiences expected from a family sitcom. Barr herself won an Emmy and a Golden Globe. The show tackled issues that other family comedies would not touch, including poverty, domestic abuse, sexuality, and the daily humiliation of never having quite enough money to live the way the neighbors did. It was, for nearly a decade, the truest mirror American television had ever held up to working-class life. The original run ended badly. The 9th season had the Connors win the lottery, abandoning the blue-collar realism that had made the show matter. And in a final twist that infuriated many fans, the series finale revealed that Dan had actually died of his heart attack 2 seasons earlier, and everything since had been fiction that Roseanne was writing to cope with the grief. For 20 years, that was how the story ended. Dan was dead, Roseanne was alone, and the show lived on only in reruns. Then, in 2018, ABC brought it all back. The biggest comeback on television. The Roseanne revival premiered on March 27th, 2018, and the numbers were staggering. The premiere drew more than 18 million viewers on the night it aired, the highest-rated comedy premiere on any network in years. With delayed viewing counted, the audience swelled to over 27 million, a gain of nearly 9 million additional viewers, one of the largest delayed viewing increases ever recorded for a single episode of television. The show was immediately the #1 series on network television. ABC renewed it for another season before the first revival season had even finished airing. The 9th season twist was retconned. Dan was alive. The lottery and his death had been reframed as an unpublished novel Roseanne had written, a detail the show played for laughs when Dan discovered it and found it amusing that she had killed off what he called the most interesting character. The Connor family was back, older, broker, still fighting about the same things, and America was watching again. John Goodman was back as Dan. Laurie Metcalf was back as Jackie. Sarah Gilbert was back as Deline. The whole family, reunited, with ratings that most networks would kill for. And then, on the morning of May 29th, 2018, Roseanne Barr picked up a phone and destroyed it all. 12 hours. In the early hours of May 29th, Roseanne Barr posted a tweet about Valerie Jarrett, a former senior advisor to President Obama. The tweet compared Jarrett, who is black and was born in Iran, to a cross between the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes. It was, by any honest reading, a racist statement, deploying one of the oldest and most dehumanizing tropes in the history of American bigotry. What happened next moved at a speed that had almost no precedent in the entertainment industry. By mid-morning, the backlash was overwhelming. Sarah Gilbert, who played Deline and served as an executive producer, publicly condemned the tweet, writing that Barr's comments were abhorrent and did not reflect the beliefs of anyone associated with the show. Consulting producer Wanda Sykes announced she would not return. Barr's talent agency dropped her the same day. And then, at 1:48 in the afternoon, ABC Entertainment President Channing Dungey, the first black woman to lead a major broadcast network's entertainment division, issued a one-sentence statement. She called the tweet abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with their values, and announced the show was canceled. Disney's CEO Bob Iger had personally called Valerie Jarrett to apologize before the announcement went public. From tweet to cancellation, the entire thing took roughly 12 hours. The number one show on television was gone. Hundreds of cast and crew members were out of work. And the cultural institution that Roseanne Barr created, that she had built from nothing, that she had gotten a second chance to revive and had revived spectacularly, was dead. Barr initially apologized, calling it a bad joke about politics and looks, saying she should have known better, and asking for forgiveness. She blamed the sedative Ambien. The manufacturer of Ambien responded dryly that racism was not a known side effect of any of its medications. But what about the man who had stood beside her, on screen and off, for 30 years? What was happening to John Goodman while the world burned down around them? Broken-hearted. When John Goodman finally spoke publicly about the cancellation for the first time, in an interview with the Sunday Times in August of 2018, what he said was not angry. It was not political. It was sad. He said he was broken-hearted. He said he had tried to let it go, telling himself it was just show business. But then he admitted that he went through a period, about a month, where he was very depressed. He has long been open about his struggle with depression, and he acknowledged it directly in the interview, saying he was a depressive person anyway, and that any excuse he could find to lower himself, he would take. The cancellation, he said, had a great deal more to do with his depression than he had wanted to admit. This is a man who had battled alcoholism for decades before getting sober in 2007. A man who has described his drinking years as 30 years of disease that was taking its toll on everyone around him. A man who has said it was life or death when he finally stopped. And the cancellation of Roseanne landed on top of all of that history, triggering a depressive episode that consumed an entire month of his life. But here's the part that makes Goodman's response so complicated and so human. Even in the middle of that grief, he defended her. He told the Sunday Times that he knew, for a fact, that Roseanne Barr was not a racist. He said it with emphasis, repeating the word no. He was not excusing what she had said. He was trying to separate the person he had worked beside for 30 years from the worst thing she had ever done in public. It was a response of a man who loved someone and could not reconcile that love with what had happened. And Barr noticed. She publicly thanked Goodman for speaking the truth about her, acknowledging that he had faced certain peril from the producers and the network by doing so. Goodman sent Barr an email after the cancellation, thanking her for signing away her rights so the rest of the cast and crew could continue working. He never heard back. She was, as he put it, going through hell at the time, and that silence, it turned out, would last far longer than either of them probably expected. The show that kept going without her. Within weeks of the cancellation, ABC made a remarkable decision. They would keep the Connor family alive, but without Roseanne Barr. The spin-off was called The Connors. Barr signed away all financial and creative involvement. The show's writers face a brutal question. How do you write out the most famous character on the show, the character whose name was literally the title, in a way that is honest and does not feel cheap? Their answer was opioids. When The Connors premiered on October 16, 2018, viewers learned that Roseanne Connor had died of an accidental opioid overdose. The family had initially believed it was a heart attack, but a corrected autopsy revealed the truth. Showrunner Bruce Helford later explained the decision, saying they wanted a respectful send-off tied to the real American opioid crisis, and that anything far-fetched would have made the fierce matriarch of the Connors seem pathetic. Barr was furious. She posted that she was not dead, using language that left no ambiguity about her feelings. She released a statement calling the opioid storyline an unnecessary, grim addition to what had been a happy family show. The premiere drew over 10 million viewers, down significantly from the revival, but still the top new series launch of the fall season. And then something quiet happened. The show kept going. Season after season, year after year, the Connor family continued without the person who had created them. The Connors ran for 7 seasons and 112 episodes, a milestone that most network comedies never reach. And at the center of it, holding the whole thing together the way Dan Connor had always held his family together, was John Goodman. He showed up every week. He did the work. He carried the emotional weight of a show that was, in a very real sense, built on the absence of someone he cared about. When the series finale aired on April 23rd of 2025, the writers gave Dan one last moment that nobody had planned. In the final scene, after the rest of the family has left, Dan sits alone on the couch, the same couch where he and Roseanne had spent 1,000 scenes together, and looks directly into the camera. He says goodnight. It was not scripted. Goodman improvised it. The producers kept it. He later said he had simply wanted to say goodnight and thank you to the audience that had stayed with him. It is a small moment, but it tells you everything about who John Goodman is. Even at the end, his instinct was gratitude. 7 years of silence. Here is a detail that lands harder than any of the drama, any of the ratings, any of the political arguments that surrounded the cancellation. In July of 2025, John Goodman sat down for a long, reflective interview with a Hollywood reporter. The interviewer asked whether he had spoken to Roseanne Barr. His answer was quiet and direct. He said no. He said he rather doubted she wanted to talk to him. And then he said they had not talked for about 7 or 8 years. 7 or 8 years. The two people whose on-screen marriage had defined an era of American television, who had made each other laugh on the very first read-through, who had built something that mattered to tens of millions of people, had not spoken in nearly a decade. But Goodman did not say it with anger. He said it with the tone of a man who had accepted something he could not change. And in the same interview, he talked about the early days with a warmth that made the silence even sadder. He said they had hit it off from Jump Street. He said she made him laugh and he made her laugh. He said it was so much fun. He said they used to get 20, 30 million viewers, and that it was a special time. When Variety had asked him about Barr in 2023, before the show ended, he had been even more direct about his feelings. He said he felt terrible about the whole thing. He said they had a great time. He said he loved her. He said he missed her. He said he wished her well. He loved her. He missed her. He wished her well. And they had not spoken in years. That is not a story about a tweet or a cancellation or a television show. That is a story about two people who shared something extraordinary and lost in a way that neither of them fully chose. Two roads after Roseanne. The years since the cancellation have taken John Goodman and Roseanne Barr in opposite directions, and the contrast tells its own story. Goodman kept working. He finished The Connors. He wrapped the final season of HBO's The Righteous Gemstones. He voiced Papa Smurf in a new Paramount animated film. He took a role in an upcoming film directed by the acclaimed filmmaker behind Birdman and The Revenant, working alongside Tom Cruise. During the shoot at Pinewood Studios, he fractured his hip on set and had surgery, but he kept going. He lost his Pacific Palisades home in the January 2025 wildfires and relocated to Charleston, South Carolina. Through all of it, he stayed sober, attended his morning meetings, and kept showing up. Barr went a different direction. In the immediate aftermath, she had expressed genuine regret, saying she had lost everything and asking if people thought she was kidding about how much she regretted it. But over the years that followed, the regret hardened into defiance. By June of 2025, promoting a documentary about herself, Barr sat down with Variety and retracted her original apology entirely. She said that apologizing had been a mistake, that it only made things worse. She said a person should never apologize to the political left, because they would grind their boot into your face if you did. Of the original tweet, she said she believed God had told her to do what she did, and that it had been a kind of nuclear bomb. She also said, flatly, that she was not friends with any of her former castmates. She said they were all in the past. She said they did not talk. But then, in the same breath, she added that she had pleasant memories of the fun they had, and wished them all the best. It is a jarring thing to read alongside what Goodman said in his Hollywood Reporter interview just weeks later. He said he loved her and missed her. She said they were all in the past. He said he wished her well. She said she wished them all the best. Two people saying almost the same words from what feel like entirely different planets. And somewhere underneath all the politics and the public statements and the years of silence, there is still the simple fact that two people who were once very close to each other are not close anymore, and that neither of them seems to know how to fix it. What it really cost. John Goodman has never pretended to have a secret explanation for what ended Roseanne. The cause is public and unambiguous. Roseanne Barr posted a racist tweet, and ABC canceled the show the same day. There is no mystery there. What Goodman has revealed, slowly and honestly over the 7 years since, is what the aftermath actually felt like from the inside. The depression, the month he could not pull himself out of it. The email he sent that was never answered. The years of silence that followed. The strange experience of playing Dan Connor every week on a show built around the absence of the woman he had shared the role with for 3 decades. He revealed what it cost a person to lose a creative partner, a work friend, a 30-year relationship, not because of a falling out between the two of them, but because of something one of them did to the rest of the world. He did not leave Roseanne Barr. The world left Roseanne Barr, and he was standing in the blast radius. And there is something in the way Goodman has handled all of it that says more about him than any role he has ever played. He defended her when it was dangerous to do so. He acknowledged the pain without wallowing in it. He kept working. He stayed sober. He improvised a quiet goodbye on an empty couch and said thank you to the audience. He said he loved her and missed her, years after the rest of the industry had decided she was unsalvageable. Roseanne did not end because of creative differences or bad ratings or network. Losing faith. It ended because one person made one choice on one morning, and the consequences were immediate, total, and permanent. What John Goodman revealed is not the reason it ended. What he revealed is a weight of carrying that ending, year after year, with a kind of grace that most people never manage. The couch is empty now. The show is over. And two people who once made 30 million Americans laugh together every Tuesday night have not spoken in nearly a decade. That is what really ended Roseanne. Not the tweet, the silence that came after. John Goodman played Dan Connor for over 3 decades, through cancellations, revivals, and the loss of the partner who made it all possible. He never stopped showing up. If you like this,